Seriously, why is there always someone going down that road on Karelia? It just doesn't make sense. It only gets you killed. But hey, that's not the point of this video, sorry. I am Corpan. Welcome to my T-54 simulator battle video. Today I'll show you some of the good sides of the T-54 and some of the bad sides of the T-54 Model 1951. My tank isn't fully upgraded, but I have the essential upgrades except for the APDS sabot rounds and then the heat rounds, as well as I lack the engine upgrade. But I've got enough upgrades unlocked to be able to give you a fair opinion about this tank and what I think about it. But for now, what you need to know is basically that T-54 has a slower turret rotation than basically all the tanks that it faces. And it is terrible. I really do dislike the slow turret traverse. And I have upgraded the horizontal turret traverse upgrade for the tank. And we'll see here in just a second how this slow turret traverse, how it gets me killed. I've just spotted the leopard one here, and he spotted me as well. And just as I aim and fire, he fires simultaneously and I die. It turns out that I take just a fraction of a second too long in aiming. And I wasn't really sure whether or not he had spotted me, so I took my time. The Leopard 1's turret traverse is several degrees per second faster than my tanks. And that gave him the opportunity to just turn around the turret and fire at me. And we're gonna have a look at some more good examples of that coming up later on in the video. But for now, let's go over to the Stalingrad map and let's see what the T-54 is good at. And that is ambushing and just taking up strategical areas on the map early on in the game and then just harassing the enemy from there until you die, basically. So here I've advanced quite aggressively early game on the Stalingrad map and taken up a sneaky position right next to a garbage pile. I spot the leopard, fire, and he just then moves. So I botch my shot, and before I can reload the gun, he's gone down into the gully there, and I won't see him until the end of the game. Or end of the clip, rather. Scan for more targets, since I do suspect that there might be more targets coming up. I spot that M60 and then I take fire from the left. But I failed to spot the tank there on the left side of the oil silo. But I get the M60 moving up between the buildings. And then I spot another tank there. It's the Leopard, exfiltrating out of the gully. The tank on my left sees the opportunity and it pops out for a shot, and I can't answer the fire because the turret traverse is too slow. And before I can get the gun around and answer the fire, he's gone. And that's a good example of how bad the turret traverse on the tank is. Something that will cost you a lot of kills in the game. And there's some outgoing fire from over there, so I use my binoculars. I'll spot the King Tiger. Fire hit him center mass and he's gone. So what's that? 2 kills? I believe, yeah, 2 kills. But what could have been 3, easily 3 kills had I had a tank that had a better turret traverse. And there's the Leopard on the side. Traverse the gun around, try to elevate it in time, and no. The opportunity is gone forever. And basically, that was all I wanted to show you from that clip.
Enemy forces have captured a zone. Allied forces have captured a zone. Back up. Affirmative.
Now, that right there are two good examples of the strongest selling point of the T-54 in 1951. Good firepower, or decent enough to knock out any tank that it faces, and then a trollish turret armor. The turret armor will save your tank when you least expect it to, and that is when you get flanked and they try to take a flanking shot off at the side of your turret. The shot might just as well ping off the side of the turret rather than to get you knocked out. So the turret is superbly armored. It's really well rounded, but yeah, turret traverse is horrible, and the all-round mobility of the tank is nothing compared to the Leopard 1. So you're really on the par there. The Leopard 1 will outmaneuver you any day of the week. So you need to set yourself up not too far away from the front, but not too close either, because if you're too close, they'll outperform you in maneuverability and turret traverse. So you can't really afford coming around the corner and get surprised by a Leopard or a M60 or a Conqueror or a Chieftain. Because if you do, they will have the first shot off at you, and that will cripple your tank enough to render you inoperable for fighting back, essentially. And then with the second shot that they take, you'll be dead for sure. So try to set yourself up at medium range, preferably at the flank of the enemy like this, where you can take accurate shots off at the enemy as they try to move up towards the front. And yeah, we move up, and all of a sudden invisible tanks arrives, and I haven't at this point realized that, oh shit, that's the enemy spawn. So yeah, it's going to be game over for me here, because I don't have any good cover, and yeah, the next two shots just explodes my tank right out. So 3 crewmen killed there. Yeah, it's game over more or less. I can of course choose to spawn in another T-54, and that is what we are going to do. And from here on out, I have to fight the defensive fight. You know, I am going to get killed if I don't play this one smart. So I cross the river and get over to the other side, and then I keep a watchful eye open for enemy tanks, really. But since we're versing the Germans and the US, they have tanks that have mobility good enough to basically just spawn camp your whole team on a map like this, if you do not stop them at the first go. So you need to do that first, and you need to conquer the big open fields, and then just hammer them down whenever they try to cross them and get to the high ground. Or you can, if you're a heavy tank, go into town, obviously, and try to slug it out around corners with them. That also works. I tend to not do that in the T-54. And once again, the shot pings off my turret, and I get to return the fire. And once I do so, I render the tank more or less unfit for combat, and he shoots to yay out. So that's a kill for me. So we're good to go to move up towards the ridge line where I just was and where I got knocked out. I need to keep this area under my control. If I don't do that, we'll get spawn camped. And because the second wave of spawning tanks will spawn on the midfield and they will just drive over up to this ridge and then knock us out as we spawn. And I spot 2 tanks, try to line up for a shot, but once again their turret traverse is superior to mine and their accuracy is superior to mine. And yeah, that's it. And that is really my impression from playing the T-54 these last couple of weeks. You know, we get owned by the Allies, or the Germans and the US and the British. You know, you have nothing against them, really. Unless you're in a very cramped up map, a really arcadey map, and you team up with other T-54s. You'll perform well there. But essentially, the game is, at the moment, more or less historically accurate. The T-54 was inferior to the Allies M60 and Leopard, really. It had too much armor, and basically you don't need armor when you have mobility and excellent firepower, and accurate firepower at that, as the Cold War US, UK and German tanks had. And oh yeah, when we're talking about historical accuracy, one should probably also add that the Patton, the M60 Patton, and the Chieftain, the Conqueror, and the Leopard 1 were all designed to be able to take on the T-54, because the T-54 was designed first and arrived on the battlefield first, along with the IS-3 as a bit of shock for the Allies, and they had to counter it with some kind of weapon, so they designed tanks that could be able to take on the T-54s, and they've basically proven that in multiple wars throughout history and defeated T-54. So yeah, the game is more or less accurate at the moment, I would say. But that doesn't mean that you can't have good games in the T-54 1951. You can absolutely have that. It's not a bad tank. It's just that there are tanks that are better than the T-54 in the game at the moment. And this didn't used to be the case earlier on, so I'm a bit surprised, but still I'm content. That's basically it for this video. It's been a little bit shorter. Hope you liked it anyway. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and I'll see you guys around later on in the week with another video, I guess. So thank you for watching. See you guys around.